Okay, welcome back. It's the Prokon Geek, and today we're going to be looking at the Slab Module User Interface. Okay, hopefully you saw my introduction video where I talked about things we're going to be covering in the Slabs series, and as promised, we're going to kickstart it off with simple things and the basics first. So to get started, all you have to do is launch the Rectagular Slab Design Module under the Concrete tab in Prokon, and once you do this, you're going to get a window giving you the user interface, which is pretty neat and simple if you ask me. Now, by default, the first tab that you have open is the Input tab, and on this tab you have 4 sections we're going to talk about today. Number 1, you have the Geometry and Materials Input section. This is basically where you provide Prokon with the dimensions of your slab in the LX and LY, and also you proceed to provide the thickness of your slab and also the effective depth of the steel that you want in either direction, that is in the X and the Y direction. Then on this section as well, you will also provide Prokon with the characteristic strength of your materials and also the design factors. So this comes out from the Poisson ratio, characteristic strength of your concrete, characteristic strength of your steel, the density of the concrete, the self-weight factor of this concrete, and the time factor, the creep time factor. So if you want to read more of that, please jump to your code and then you understand what it means. Now, once we're done with section 1, the next thing that we have is section 2, which is the slab edge fixity input section. This is where you inform Prokon whether each of your 4 different edges of the slab is supported against displacement and it is free to rotate. So there are 2 options here. You have displacement and rotation. And displacement basically just means vertical deflection is restrained and it is forbidden. For example, this may be where you have a stiff beam or a load-bearing wall right underneath that slab edge. Next, you have rotation, and rotation simply means rotation is restrained. For example, in situations where there's continuity with an adjoining span. So we're talking of a slab panel that is in the midst of a bay. So this could have a slab panel that has a slab to its north, south, east, and west. Now, the other thing that you have is under rotation as well is maybe the slab may be built into a stiff member. So what you're thinking about is a staircase landing which is built into walls, so it is not able to rotate. It is fixed. The next thing that you have, section 3 rather, is the design loads input section, the most important one if you ask me. So this is the section where you provide 1 or more load cases comprising of UDLs, point loads, and or line loads. You can also optionally specify the load cases to include in the envelope in this section. Now, to further understand this section, we're going to be looking at it one by one. So the first thing that we have is LC number, which is the first column. This is basically the load case number. This could be 1, 2, 3, all the way to 50 if you have 50 load cases, but usually I use 3 or up to 6 depending on what it is. Then the next thing that you have is LF, which is the load factor. This is the ultimate limit state load factor, which is going to be 1.4, 1.6 depending on your code and depending on the type of load, whether it's dead or live. Then the next thing that you have now, you're starting to go into the slab loads. So what you have is the slab load. The first thing is UDL, which is the distributed load that is applied over the whole slab, which is in kilonewtons per square meter or kips for fit. This is an area load. So this can be dependent on your code and the situation that you have on the project. Then the next thing that you have, unaffected point loads. P represents the value of the load, can be 15, whatever it is, depending on your project. Then X, this is the position of that point load. Where exactly is that position measured from the origin of the X? So it could be X meters, 2 meters from the 0 of the X. So the 0 position is the left slab edge on your screen. Same applies for Y as well, is the Y position of the point load measured from the bottom slab edge of your screen, right? Now, the next thing that you have is L, which is line loads. This is kilonewtons per meter or kips per foot. So you enter the value as well here. It can be anything that you want. Then the next thing that you have is X1 and Y1. I think you now have a hang of what this is, but these are basically the start position of your line loads in the X and the Y position as well, measured from the left slab edge and the bottom slab edge on your screen, depending if it's X or Y. Then X2 and AY2 are just where are your line loads ending in the X direction and in the Y direction. So a line load is like a vector, so it has to have an origin and an end, so it's an X, Y is 2, and it has a gradient. All right, so line loads could be your walls or any partitions that are on the slab. Then one important thing to note is that the program automatically calculates the slab weight using the slab thickness that you entered and the density values that you enter as well. So the own weight is calculated automatically and added to each load case that you define. Also, you may use more than one row in the loads input table to define a particular load case. For example, and loads entered on multiple lines. Yeah, I think that's the first thing I need to tell you, is that the loads entered on multiple lines are aggregated and summed up, which is the good thing, right? So to combine a dead load and live load in one combination, for example, you enter a dead load, say in the first row with its ultimate limit state factor, and then in the next row you enter the live load with its ultimate limit state. So that will be 1.4, then 1.6, right? In the first in adjacent rows. And the other thing is, if you leave the load case number column blank, the program assumes the row underneath the first one is part of the load case in the preceding line. So if you say 1, then you enter your values, and then the next row you don't put any number, then you enter values starting with the load factor. That load case is going to be summed up or into 1. So load case 1 is going to be comprising of 2 rows. So if you want to enter another load case, what you need to do is go to the next row, input the number. In this case, you might be going to 2, so you have to specify this is going to be applying for 2, and it's no longer load case 1. Next, you have the envelope. So basically, when Prokon is designing, it outputs 2 special envelope load cases, right, using the load cases that you specify. So the envelope maximum, this is just the maximum values of the bending moment, reinforcement, or deflection calculated for all design load cases at any given position on the slab, depending on the load cases that you want summed up. And the envelope minimum is the corresponding minimum value for all the load design cases. So in this case, it won't be designed for one load case, but it will be designed for a combination of them all in one to give you the envelope, right? So for example, on the screen, you have load cases included in envelope. Example 1, 2, 4, and 6. This just means if you have 6 load cases, you're going to include load case 1, 2, and then go to 4 through to 6 in the envelopes, but you're omitting load case 3. Then last but not least, on this tab, you have the title text box where you enter the name of the file that you want to appear on the calculation sheets when you print them out. Next, we're just going to be going through this quickly before talking about how we're going to interpret them. That's going to be the next video, but I just think we need to talk about them quickly. This is 1, the moment tab. This is where Prokon displays the bending moment values in the top and bottom faces of the slab in the X and the Y direction. And these bending moments are calculated using the wood and hammer equations. I'll go into interpretation and reading this menu in tab in another video. Then next, we have deflections. This tab displays the elastic short-term deflections and long-term deflections, which are calculated using finite element analysis and a gross and cracked concrete section for stiffness calculation. Then thirdly, when you go on top of the screen as well, where you have the reinforcement. This is where the programmer gives you the equivalent wood and hammer bending moments to calculate the required reinforcement, and it displays it. It tells you which are probably the best reinforcement areas that you need according for every section on your slab. Then the next thing that you have is the calc sheets. This is where Prokon just summarizes the design input for you so that you can print it out. And then last but not least, you have the bending schedule. This is where you can generate a pads drawing, right? I had a video about that with the drawing rebar cutting list. That is just the bending schedules. And then you can proceed to use pads or auto pads or pro bar, depending on which version of Prokon you have to edit, or just print the sketch and rebar bending schedules. And we will talk about these tabs, that is the moments, deflections, reinforcement, calc sheets, and bending schedule in another video more in depth. So just to make sure that we stay down 10 minutes, this is it for the interface tool. Next up, we'll be looking at interpreting the diagrams, as I said earlier, generated after you run an analysis and the design is calculated. So more of like an example, But until next time and until the video, cheers, love you very much, subscribe to the channel, ciao.